So after last weekend's successful Saturday morning ride, once again we found ourselves at the Tim Hortons just outside Hawkesbury at 7 a.m. We started off with the GoPro HD bolted to the crash bar of Joe's 1150GS. And as soon as we pulled off road, we almost had a nice shot right here. But Joe saved it, and once again, Joe needs to get some knobbies on that bike. Here we see Chris backing his bike out of the woods. We didn't get a shot of him losing it. He smacked a tree with the turn signal, but that was the only damage. It was pretty slippery because it had rained quite a bit recently. And down goes Joe. Now Chris pulled up right behind Joe and I walked up, and as I was looking at the situation, Joe started spinning the rear tire and was hitting Chris right in the face with the mud. I thought I was going to piss my pants. I was laughing so hard. Chris was screaming for Joe to stop, and Joe couldn't hear him with his helmet on. It was a good start to the ride. We got Joe's bike back up and we were on our way. It's quite amazing to see how much that front suspension travels, even on relatively level ground at speed. Then we got to the SandPit, the nice little uphill entrance. Once we got to the pit, we decided to dump our excess bags in the center, lighten the load. Who did we have with us? We had C.G. Drake on his HP2. Chris and the bike are oddly already dirty. Moto.Joe on the trusty 1150GS with the stock tires. And myself on the old F800GS, sporting my brand new XPC seat.
New seat.
Don't with the seat! Then it was time for some fun. Chris makes it look easy on the HP2. Now we see Joe, a little more trouble getting up there without those knobbies. Tries to spray my bike. Chris found a nice little downhill. Here comes Joe again, a little more gas this time. And if we look at that in slow-mo, nice to see how out of shape he gets, but still has time to put on his right turn signal. Then we mounted the GoPro to the rear view on the HP2. The nice new Dunlop we just put on Friday. That's going to be a nice view. Suspension working on that HP2. So I decided to follow Chris for a while, and of course he led me down this steep descent that I wasn't too keen to do. Climbing up on the F800, not too much drama. Nice shaky camera work here, courtesy of Moto Joe. Then Chris tried to climb a real loose sandy section and just barely made it. I decided to give it a try, and not quite enough speed. Chris heads over to give me a hand. Joe was too busy documenting this to lend a hand. So Chris and I backed her down, and carried on. Now this looked a lot steeper in real life.
Nice little front wheel air.
Then Chris was nice enough to let us all try his HP2. This is me giving it a go. It feels so much more planted than the F800. The front tire just feels glued. Then Joe took it for a little spin, and I think he liked it.
Woo. Okay, that's a little bit different.
So we decided to have a race, and if you're going to have a race, you have to have a Le Mans running start. Now you notice I just jump on the bike and hit the starter and go, and this would cause a little trouble later. We did one lap at the SandPit. Chris is the first to arrive. Now, of course, I never turned off my ABS, so that's me just about clipping him there because I couldn't stop. Now, there was no sign of Joe, so we zoomed in, and lo and behold, there he was. The rescue party arrives, and even Chris finally gets stuck.
I can't do it. What happened out there? Okay, that's a little bit softer than the morning. So, Joe, do you usually park your bike this way? Yeah, I want the rain to wash it.
Now it started to rain and it was getting a little cooler. It had been about 6 or 7 degrees Celsius when we got together in the morning, and now that the rain really started, it was about 5 degrees. So we decided to call it a day and go home. Chris was actually heading all the way to Toronto, about a 5-hour ride, to go to the Rally Connex training day on the Sunday. We all stopped in to see a buddy, and then had a nice miserable ride home in the pouring rain at 3 degrees. Once again, home by noon. Oh yeah, before I forget, Joe, get some knobbies.